In this video, we're going to consider method of factorization in solving quadratic equations. Let's take a look at few examples using factorization methods to solving quadratic equations. The first question we have here is 4x squared minus 4x minus 3 equal to 0. How do we get this factorized in such a way that we obtain values for x? The first thing we need to do is to pick any terms you have there, multiply by the constant term. That is 4x squared multiplied by minus 3. And that's going to give us minus 12x squared. And then the next step is to find the pairs of factors of minus 12. Let's just list them here. The first set of factors have to be minus 1 times 12. That will be minus 12. And then 1 times minus 12 itself, that's still going to be minus 12. And then minus 2 times 6, that's going to be minus 12. And then 2 times minus 6, that's going to be minus 12. And then minus 3 times 4, that's going to be minus 12. And then 3 times minus 4, that's still going to give us minus 12. And then among all these set of factors of minus 12 written here, we need to look out for a particular set which, when added together, is going to give us the coefficient of x here, which is minus 4. And then that makes this set of factors to be the chosen set of factors we need to use. That is 2 and minus 6. In the sense that when you add 2 and minus 6 together, you're going to get minus 4. But when you multiply the two set of factors together, it gives you minus 12. So minus 6 and 2 becomes the choice set of factors of minus 12 to be considered. And then we're going to bring this into the quadratic equation in such a way that these two pairs of factors of minus 12 will represent minus 4x in the quadratic equation. So let's bring them in, and this becomes 4x squared, and then this is 2, that's going to be plus 2x, and then minus 6 here, that becomes minus 6x, and then the constant term, that's minus 3 equal to 0. And then you can just pair them up this way. This is in a bracket of this. And then we look for common terms here between 4x squared and 2x. Of course, 2x is a common term there. And then 4x squared divided by 2x, that gives us 2x plus 2x divided by 2x itself. That's going to be 1. And then this sign, minus, in a bracket. And then the common term between 6x and minus 3 here, of course, is definitely going to be 3. And the bracket 6x divided by 3. And that's going to be 2x. And then we need to be conscious of the sign we have here. So we use this sign to multiply the sign in the bracket, and that turns positive. That is minus times minus, that's plus. The 3 divided by 3, 1, and then equal to 0. So you can see that I obtained the same set of terms in the two brackets. The moment you're getting a different terms in this bracket, and then you already know that what you're solving is completely wrong. So we are meant to always get the same set of terms in the bracket, and then we pick one of the terms in the bracket and then combine this and this together, and that becomes 2x minus 3, that is this and this. And then in the bracket, picking one of the brackets, okay, 2x plus 1 equal to 0. And then in this case, we have 2x minus 3 in the bracket multiplied by 2x plus 1. And then if these two terms will multiply together, will multiply each other, and you get 0, that means one of them has to be 0. So in this case, we can express it as 2x minus 3 equal to 0, or either this also is meant to be 0. That's 2x plus 1 equal to 0. And then we can move this to the other side of equality sign. That becomes 2x equal to 3 here. Or, and then this one, positive 1 has to be moved to the other side of equality sign. That becomes minus 1. And then we can divide both sides here by the coefficient of x. So that brings us to x equal to 3 over 2. Or, and then we also need to divide both sides here by the coefficient of x. That brings us to x equal to minus 1 over 2. And in this case, our x becomes 2 into 3, 1 whole number 1 over 2. Or negative 1 over 2. So that is how we can use factorization concept to obtain the values for x given this kind of quadratic equations. Let's take a look at another example here. In this question, we are given minus 2x squared plus 15x minus 25. Okay, so we have minus 2x squared plus 15x equal to 25. And then first of all, we need to harmonize all the terms we have there together. That's plus 15x. We need to move this to the other side of the equality, so that becomes minus 25, and then nothing is left there, so that's going to be 0. And then the most important thing is that this coefficient of x squared is always more comfortable for you to factorize if the coefficient of x is positive. So what can we do to make it positive now that we have minus 2 as the coefficient of x squared? So we can just multiply all the terms in the quadratic equation by negative 1, just for the purpose of making the coefficient of x squared to be positive. It's not as if it cannot be factorized even though it's a negative value, but it's more comfortable, it's more convenient, or it's easier for the quadratic equation to be factorized if the coefficient of x squared is positive, and hence they need to do minus 1 multiply all the terms of the quadratic equation. So when you use minus 1 to multiply all the terms there, you're going to obtain 2x squared. Of course, minus 1 times plus 15, that gives us minus 15x, minus 1 times minus 25, that gives us positive 25, equal to, of course, minus 1 times 0, of course, is going to be 0. And then we can go ahead and do exactly what we did in the previous solution. And then we need to multiply this and this together. So multiplying 2x squared by plus 25 is going to give us positive 50x squared. And then listing out all the factors of 50, and then we consider which of those two set of factors of 50 you're going to add up, that's going to give us minus 15, just like we did in the first question. And that will bring us to 2x squared, and of course it has to be minus 10x minus 5x, and then the constant term plus 25 equal to 0, in the sense that when you had minus 10x plus minus 5x, that's going to give us minus 15. And of course, if you multiply minus 10 multiply by minus 5, that's going to give us positive 50x squared. And therefore we can pair up just like we did in the first question. And then what is common between these two terms there? Of course, 2 is a factor of 10, so 2 is common, and x is also common. And then when you divide this by this, you're going to obtain x minus 10 divided by 2, 5, x divided by x, that's 1 there. Then this sign is this. Okay, so a common term between 5x and 25, and of course it's 5. 5x divided by 5, that's going to give us ordinary x. And don't forget this sign, you need to use this sign to multiply whatever sign you have in the bracket. So minus times plus, that's going to give us minus. Then 25 divided by 5, that's going to be 5. So you can see that I've actually obtained the same terms too in the bracket. Remember, if your terms are different, then what you're solving is completely wrong. And then we need to pick one of the terms in the bracket and combine these 2x and then minus 5 here together. And then this is 2x minus 5 in the bracket x minus 5 equal to 0. And then we express each of the terms to be equal to 0. And that becomes 2x minus 5 equal to 0, or x minus 5 equal to 0. And then you need to move this to the other side of equality sign. The same thing is applicable to the other set of terms of x that you have there. And this becomes 2x equal to minus 5 to the other side becomes positive 5, or x minus 5 to the other side becomes positive 5. And then we divide both sides by 2 here. That becomes x equal to 5 over 2, or x equal to 5. And then we can still simplify 5 over 2 further, so that we can express our answer as 2 whole number 1 over 2, or 5. So these are the values or the roots of your quadratic equation. All right, x is 2 whole number 1 over 2, or 5. So let's take a look at another question here. We have another question, and the question is, if we are given 1 over 6 y squared equal to 2 over 3y plus 16 over 3, how do we factorize this quadratic equation here? It's pretty easy. I advise that the first thing you want to do here is to write it out this way: y squared over 6, that is 1 over 6 multiplied by y squared over 1, so we obtain this, equal to 2y over 3 plus 16 over 3. And then it's also very important that you harmonize all your terms to one side so that you can equate everything to 0. So that we have y squared over 6 minus 2y over 3, then positive 16 over 3 going to the other side of equality sign becomes minus 16 over 3. Then we have nothing left in the right hand side of a quadratic equation. So that's going to be what? 0. And then here we have set of fractions here. So we need to get rid of all of these denominators. So that will make us to look for a common denominator, popularly known as the lowest common multiple. That's LCM. So the LCM of all your set of denominators you have here, of course, our LCM is going to be 6. LCM of 6, 3, 3 is going to be 6. So it's imperative now that we multiply each term you have in your quadratic equation by the LCM so that we can get rid of all the denominators. Therefore, this becomes y squared over 6 times 6 minus 2y over 3 times 6 minus 16 over 3 times 6 equal to 0 times 6. So that this, get rid of this, so we're left with y squared there, minus 3 here, 2. 2y times 2, that becomes 4y, minus 3 here 2, 16 times 2, that becomes 32, equal to 0 times 6, of course, that's going to be 0. Now we have a more expressive quadratic equation in our hands, and then we can just go ahead and factorize. Don't forget, we're using method of factorization to solve this set of quadratic equations in this video. So what we want to do is to multiply this term, the first term here, by the constant term we have in our equation. So multiplying this by this, that leads us to minus 32y squared. And then we'll go ahead and look for the set of factors of minus 32 to be multiplied to get us minus 32 itself, and in such a way that the addition of those two set of factors to be considered will give us minus 4. And of course, when you list out all the set of factors of minus 32 like we did in the very first question we factorized, we then get to know that the y squared, and then this will give us minus 8y plus 4y minus 32 will be equal to 0. That is, minus 8 and plus 4 will be the set of factors to be considered, because when you multiply minus 8 by 4, it's going to give us minus 32y squared, and then minus 8y plus 4y, that's going to give us minus 4y. And then we need to pair them up this way. And then the common term between y squared and 8y, of course, is y. In the bracket, y squared divided by y is y, minus 8y divided by y is 8. And then plus, of course, this sign. What is common between 4y and 32? And of course, is plus 4. And then 4y divided by 4, that's y. Plus times minus is minus. 32 divided by 4, that's going to be 8, equal to 0. So you've seen as well that I obtained the same terms in the bracket, okay? It has to be the same terms. The moment you're getting different terms, either by sign or by any figure there or any value there, then you might have made a mistake somewhere. So that's how factorization for quadratic equation works. And then we're going to pick one of the terms and then combine this and this together. So we have y plus 4, that is y and this plus 4, and then one of the terms of the bracket, and that's y minus 8 equal to 0. And then in this case, we express each of these terms to be equal to 0. Therefore, we have y plus 4 equal to 0, or y minus 8 equal to 0. And then we move this to the other side of equality sign, and minus 8 to the other side of equality sign. That probably becomes the set of roots or the set of answers for a quadratic equation. So plus 4 to this side, that becomes minus 4, or y equal to minus 8 to this side, that becomes positive 8. Therefore, our y equal to minus 4 or 8. So these are the set of roots or answers to such quadratic equations when factorized. Thanks for watching. Kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel.